for our program, The World of Dolls, here at the Sibley House, which was built in 1844. We hope you'll join us at one of our events here in the house so you can take a full tour of the upstairs, which really houses our artifact collection. The Westborough Historical Society is working hard keeping Westborough history alive. Our tagline is looking to the future by understanding the past. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Sue Lippin, and I'm on the board of directors here, as are several of the people in the audience. We have some events coming up I just want to share with you. Monday night, November 4th, is a genealogy program over at the library. It starts at 6:30, and it's called Starting Your Family History Research, but it's also intended for people who have started to dive in, but Pro's going to come and give us some guidance, so it should be interesting. On Wednesday, November 13th at 3:30, we will meet here. Chris Allen will guide us on a walk around town. And so
Did
that's.
You know that you were doing that, Chris?
Yes, she does know she's doing that. That is Wednesday the 13th. On November 16th, a Saturday, we have an open house here from 2 to 4 celebrating Westborough veterans, and we're going to have some of our military collection featured. So we hope you'll join us. If you've always been curious about what's going on in this house, we want you to come and see it. Saturday, December 7th, we have our holiday bazaar from 9 to 1 when the churches are usually doing their church fairs, so that's always a really wonderful time. And feel free to check our website for additional information. It's westboroughhistory.org. Our guest speaker this evening is Janice McIntyre of Jenny Babies Doll Hospital in Hopkinton. She has 20 years of doll restoration and repair experience, has collected dolls for many years, as you can see, and loves to share them and their history. Please help me in welcoming Janice McIntyre.
Well, hi everyone, thank you for having me. And as she said, I'm from Hopkinton and I have a doll hospital there. I started collecting dolls probably about 40 years ago without really meaning to. I like anything antique, vintage, and one time I went into a barn sale and found a little doll that I kind of fell in love with, picked her up, and this is where we have come to. And this is about a third of my collection that I have here. I've got another whole section of them in the hospital, in the reception area, and then I've got some that are in storage. So my next goal is to try and find a space and get a grant for a museum, because I, of course, have 3 grandsons. So I went to G&M Doll Restoration. That's where I learned how to restore dolls after I had collected so many. I'd have one with a broken finger or a broken leg, and I wanted to learn how to fix them. So I went down there, took their week-long seminar, and then just started fixing different types of dolls. And it's been 20 years and I'm still learning. It just never ends because there are so many different types of dolls. The modern day dolls that they make today are really made not to be fixed. The American Girl dolls we can fix, but most of the other ones are all plastic. And you break that arm, the plastic's gone, and they can't be fixed. Disposable world that we live in. So what I'll do is I'm gonna kind of go over these dolls from decade to decade, talk about them and how they've changed, what they were made of, and share them with you, okay? One of the earlier ones that we have here is a wood doll, and I'm gonna be kind of interactive and come down so you can see all this. This is a wood doll from the late 1800s, and it's hand carved, hand painted. It has a cloth body, and it's filled with sawdust. So the legs, the arms, and the head are all hand carved, and it's hand painted. And I've never cleaned it because that would ruin the original wood of the doll.
So this wasn't a commercial one, it was more like made for someone?
Yeah, yeah.
Pretty good job.
So she's all hand painted too. And another type of early dolls from the late 1800s were mostly handmade, either by a mom or a grandmother for a child. They would also make them a little sack to carry them in. And it would be a cloth doll, similar to this. might have a little dress on it. And these were, children were allowed to take these to church with them because when they dropped them, there was no sound. So these are known as church dolls. And there is a history on the church dolls. They were all homemade. This is not original, of course, but they were all homemade. And
That's not original?
no, that's not an original one, no. Here we have dolls from the late 1800s. They're made of porcelain, these two here. And then there's one over there, which is also a china head, but it's wood, I believe. These are china head dolls. They're made of porcelain, but they have a glaze on them, which makes them look like china, and that's why they're referred to as china head dolls. The head and the neck plate is all one piece. And then the body is cloth. All cloth here. Most of them are filled with sawdust or cloth. And these are the hardest dolls to identify that I find, because a lot of the times they're not marked. All they have on them is a mold number. No manufacturer's mark. So I have a very hard time identifying these dolls. This one here is known as a highbrow because her hair is so high on her head. And the other one that we have back here is a lowbrow. And that's how they identify most of these dolls, is by their hairstyle. So these again are from the late 1800s. And as you can see, this one has a nice silk dress on, which was kind of fancy. This one here has a farm
Original
dress.
dress, you think?
Yes. And this one has a farm dress on, which is really like falling apart. It can't be cleaned anymore because it's original to the doll. And this again is the lowbrow china head doll. And she just has this one has leather feet too as well. Shoes, see the shoes on there?
Would these be real expensive dolls, or would these be dolls?
These,
every-
you mean at that time?
Yeah.
Probably more expensive, yes, than certainly a play doll. This doll here is dated 1921, and it's known as a Bruckner doll. Now, Albert Bruckner is the person who created this doll. His job was as a lithographer. That's what he did for work. So her face is actually a lithograph. And it's put over the molded, they mold the doll first out of cloth. Then he would take a picture, a lithograph picture, and put it over the face. So that's actually,
Is she black?
she is.
And that was probably actually somebody's face.
Yeah, that was a picture.
A picture of
It's
some-
ink on paper that he does.
is that lithograph on paper?
Yes. And the interesting thing about this doll is she's a topsy-turvy doll. So she's one of the earliest, from 1901. Again, Albert Bruckner was the name of the person, and that face is a lithograph as well.
And she's
Wow.
white.
Yep.
Yeah.
The face is actually beautiful.
Yeah, it is. See that? So that's 1901. And there is a topsy-turvy doll here that belongs to the house here, and she's a topsy-turvy as well. So that's 1901. This is another porcelain doll, where this is the china head because it has the gloss on it. This is bisque. This is known as bisque. This is bisque, that's bisque, but they're also made of porcelain, same material. But the bisque doesn't have a gloss on it, it's just got a tint to make the face look more real. So this is a ball joint doll, as well as this one. This is German, this is French, this is German, that's German. And the ball joint dolls, give you an example how they were made. This is a doll, more modern ball joint body of a doll, and all the joints are put together with elastic. So when we get these in the hospital to fix, which is quite often, I have to use this elastic tubing to restring them, because the elastic just dries out after 100 years, as it would be, and snaps. So we do a lot of these to restring. And that's how these big ones from this to this are made. And they call them ball joint because you're able to move them and pose them. That's the ball joint bisque doll. And their hair was either human or mohair in those days. And then we have these two dolls here, and they're German. Excuse me, Russian, when I say German. These are Russian from the 1910. And they were made in a factory in Russia. And they're made of terracotta, which is another material that dolls were made of.
Now, would these dolls actually be played with, or are they more for display?
I don't think these were probably played with, but the bisque ones, in many cases, were. And see, it's got the sleep eyes. They have the sleep eyes that close. These sleep eyes, which are all on a lot of the bisque as well, are on a rocker inside the head that is held on either side with plaster. And we have to repair those a lot too, the sleep eyes and the old antique dolls. So that's just an example of another material. And she's all cloth from 1910. This is another bisque doll because she's just tinted. The porcelain is just tinted. She has glass eyes and her original mohair wig. So see the mohair, the curls in the back? That's a mohair wig.
Where's mohair from?
Lamb's.
Oh,
Yeah, lamb's wool. She has the sleep eyes, the glass sleep eyes. She's very sweet. But her body is made of leather. And a lot of the dolls at this time were made of leather, and the leather is kid leather, like the gloves women used to wear. So I collect those gloves wherever I see them. I buy them because when we get these in to repair them, that's what we repair them with. You don't want to put a needle in the thread in the leather because it'll just crack. So we patch it up with the kid leather. So she's a kid leather body filled with sawdust. So you get a lot of sawdust sometimes when someone brings in a doll with a crack.
What year was this one?
She's about 1910. This doll here is from Japan. And she's marked on the back Nippon. Nippon means Japan in Japanese. And before they used to mark the dolls made in Japan, they used to mark them Nippon. So she's an early bisque as well. This is a little one here. Another ball joint, mohair wig, glass eyes, from the same era, early 1900s. She's very sweet. She's kind of one of my favorites. This one.
With the ball joints.
No.
Yep, she's got the ball joints, little wooden body. She's
Now,
very sweet.
I have a question about the sawdust that they fill it with. Does it degrade over time? Do you have a certain type of wood that has better sawdust?
I don't, not that I know of.
Okay.
To be honest with you, no.
Some wood doesn't last longer than others.
The sawdust doesn't seem to fall apart at all. It's
Okay.
the fabric,
Oh.
usually the fabric, yeah, the sawdust holds up. So also I want to show you how many different, just give you an example, excuse my back. But they did make these in all different sizes. These are some bisque dolls. Yep. So they came in all different sizes. And look, it's got movable parts. And people,
Dollhouses? or-
yeah, dollhouses I would imagine. And up till about probably 15, 20 years ago, people would go to Germany to where the factories made these dolls and excavate them, and you could still find them if you dug. And so when you think about it, they had to make molds for these dolls too, for the size, you know? So think about all the different factories having to make molds for these dolls, because that's how they're made, from a mold, and then pouring the porcelain. This is one of my little treasures that I have, that I wear around my neck, and it's a porcelain doll.
Oh my
It's
goodness.
known as a frozen Charlotte. Now, a frozen Charlotte is one solid piece of a bisque doll, and they call it a frozen Charlotte. She's painted too, hand painted.
So she's carved in one piece?
Yeah, yeah, she's all one piece. I don't think she was carved, I think she was probably poured into a mold.
Is this European or
It's
American?
German, yeah. So that's a little bisque doll. Porcelain, yeah. Known as bisque because it's
What country really produced a lot of dolls?
Oh my God.
and I just happened to,
My name's Charlotte. My name's Charlotte, so
oh,
I've never heard of this.
I just bumped into this
Yeah, so I
about
studied
15,
design
20 years ago.
And there's something about
Had to have it on
Charlotte
eBay.
was supposed to be like
Had to have
the
it.
prettiest and like
What country produces the most dolls? Or produced?
Now, then, over in Europe.
Then Europe, okay, Europe.
Yeah, Germany, France. This little set here is from the 1930s. It is bisque, and it is the Dion quintuplets. Aware of the Dion quintuplets and their story. They were born in 1934. Is it 34? Does
I
someone
was
look?
reading it
Okay.
there.
They were born in 1934 in Canada, and they were the first known quintuplets to ever survive. So they were a phenomenon. And their parents already had 5 children. So they became wards of the state, the children did. And what the state did was they immediately started to make money off the quintuplets because they were such a phenomenon. So they built them a room probably bigger than this, and it was all glass. And the quints couldn't see outside the glass, but people could see in. And they used to sell tickets and have busloads of people that would come and walk around the house and just look at the girls doing their everyday living. So, and that's how their life kind of went on. They didn't really know about it a lot of the time, but they didn't profit from it either when they got older. And their parents sold tickets, everybody was involved. So it's kind of a sad story, and every time you tell it, I have 2 sets of them, so I feel a little guilty, but these are old. So they're very cute, and the nurses with this set, I have another set in there that are from Madame Alexander, and they have the nurse and the doctor with that set. Yeah, this set just, and these are composition. I'll grab one to show you. So this is the composition set that Madame Alexander did, and this is one of them. Composition, we'll be getting right to that in a second, I'll explain that. But this is that set. And this set I had to get kind of piece by piece when I found it because they're very collectible, these quint sets. And I fixed some of them.
2 survivors.
2 survivors.
So would a family buy like a whole set, or were they sold as like
Yeah, when
collectibles?
No, originally you'd buy the whole set. But now they're so collectible that it's hard to find a whole set, and when you do, you're gonna pay for it. And even though the doll market has really kind of tanked, like a lot of things, because it's just not that popular anymore, that set is still pretty collectible, especially in the composition.
Do they look a little different so you can tell the twins apart? They look, okay.
They all have bibs on with their names on them.
Were
That's how
they
you tell them
identical?
apart. They were. Yeah. So, move on to another type of little doll. In each little decade, I'll just talk about one type of doll, not all of them. But they started experimenting with the first plastics in dolls. And one of the first plastics that they did was celluloid. Has anyone heard of celluloid? It's a very light plastic, very lightweight, easy to make, cheap to make. They started making it over in Europe and then in the States. And this is a little celluloid doll. Yeah, it's a molded hair, all painted eyes. Some of them had sleep eyes. In the 1940s, the celluloid dolls were banned in the United States because they're extremely flammable that they found. So they banned it here, but they still continue to make them.
The old films that caught
Yes, exactly. Yep, same
fire
thing.
in theaters.
Yep, so that's a little celluloid. And then some of the other early little plastics. We have a little sailor here.
And
Yeah.
So those are some of the little early plastics. And most of these, I get a lot of these still at the hospital to repair. People still collect them. And the majority of these dolls,
yeah.
their clothes were stapled or glued on. So we have to unstaple them or unglue them before we can restring them. They're actually strung with elastics, just like the bigger dolls are. Yeah, I love the
So you have
sailor.
people that work with you in your house, one person?
One, yeah. And she mainly does the American Girl dolls. She does some Mad Monks and there's restringing. Yeah. I know it's funny on the way over here, I'm there, I have to hire someone. And here's another early plastic. Little Red Riding Hood. With her basket.
Looks like somebody crocheted her outfit.
Yeah, and she's an early plastic. All molded. And these again were cheap to produce, cheap to make. So they weren't 1920s, 1930s. And these were mostly bought in gift shops. Oops, she dropped her basket.
We're doing plastic molding.
Yeah, that's,
Seems so wrong.
yeah.
So now we're going to move on to the composition that you had asked me about. Now composition is that one little doll I told you that I bought that I fell in love with that got me rolling on all this was a composition doll. And these here are composition. And composition is wood pulp and glue that they mix together. They make the doll molds, they mix the wood pulp and glue, and they pour it into the molds. So the heads are usually in two pieces, the body's usually in two pieces, and then they glue them all together.
What are the molds made of?
This little girl is a composition. My daughter and I go to the Brimfield Fair every year for Mother's Day. That's our day out. And 2 years ago, we went, and I wasn't gonna get anything. I'm not getting anything. And we were leaving, and I spotted this little one sitting in a woman's tent by herself. She wasn't a doll collector, she just had it. Same dress, everything. And so I grabbed her and got her for a good price. She has her original mohair wig.
Mohair.
This is mohair. And she also has my favorite type of eyes on a doll. Now these dolls over here, I don't think these are, of course, are painted, but these are all glass. And most of these German dolls, they're blown glass eyes that are on rockers. These eyes here are tin on this doll, which I love tin eyes. They're kind of my favorite. I just think they, yep.
Why do you like tin?
Do they move?
They seem to, yep, they sleep.
They,
They sleep, yeah. They sleep. I think they keep their color really well. And they kind of stand
They're
out.
very realistic.
Yeah. Aren't they pretty?
Yeah.
And most people wouldn't know that they're
no.
tin unless I told them.
Beautiful.
Yes.
And I think someone was looking at this thinking it was a Shirley Temple, but she's not.
Oh. That would be
But
their.
she's composition.
Her friend really looks like Shirley Temple though.
She has two friends up here that are Shirley Temples.
One in the back.
So this is a Shirley Temple,
Yeah.
and that's a Shirley Temple, both by Ideal Toy Company, did those. And this is a doll here, it's a no-name. They probably manufactured a couple thousand one year at Christmas time and sold them. But she's also got tin eyes, the one with the red hair. So afterwards, if you want to come up and see the eyes, you can get a better look. So the problem with composition dolls is because they're made of wood, they have to be taken care of temperature-wise and moisture-wise. They really can't get wet. It's not a doll you're going to take in the tub
Start in my
or
attic.
wash. You can't leave them. What most people did is they'd pack them, put them up in the attic, put them out in the barn, and that wood cracks. See how it pops like that?
Is that the paint coming off?
It's the wood from underneath, but it's the paint cracking.
Yeah.
So the wood is made of
Experiencing
sawdust and glue?
Sawdust and glue.
And what was the mold made of then?
The molds were probably metal or wood. I'm not sure on that. But we get a lot of these to be
So
restored.
how do you fix them? What do you do?
Yeah, we get a lot of these to be restored, and that would be considered a complete restoration. What I have to do is I have to, with an X-Acto knife, pop off all this paint. And sometimes it's the whole legs, the arms, the torso, the face. And you have to pop it all off and then sand it down, smooth, smooth, smooth. Sometimes it takes 2 days of complete sanding to get it nice and smooth because the X-Acto knife can stick into the wood. And then you put a wood putty on it, sand it, put more on, sand it. It's a whole week process. And then you have to paint it afterwards. Now, when I was taught to paint with an airbrush. And that's how most professionals do it. I had so much trouble with the airbrush for so many years, I just wanted to throw it across the room. And I learned of a new technique, which is with makeup sponges. And I tried it, and it works beautiful. So that's the way I do mine now. And it's less hassle. I think it looks just as good. And I will show you an example of, excuse my back again. Is it this one? This little lady here. This Shirley here.
Excuse me.
Her legs were all cracked when I got her. And I redid them.
Beautiful, wow.
When you talk about Shirley Temple with the young people, do they even know who Shirley Temple is?
They don't know. They don't know. I'll show you some other stuff too that cracks me up. But see, they were all cracked and broken.
They're just perfect.
And so I think that paint method is just as good as an airbrush, personally.
Is that a big part of your work in the hospital?
Yeah.
Preparing
The composition.
composition dolls.
And also the bisque ones, the German bisque ones, restringing them.
Yes.
Yeah. You just have to have a lot of patience, of course.
Now, do you work by yourself or do you, because you say we?
I have one person that
Okay.
helps me, but not too much on this stuff. She's more over in this area. Yeah. So those are our composition dolls. And as I said, there's some more in there you can see afterwards too.
Could you tell us a little bit about the dolls that the society has? It looks like
I
just a lady with the hair.
I don't know. I would have to spend some time with them to
Sure.
examine them, to see if they have any marks.
Are they composition?
She's a topsy-turvy.
She's topsy-turvy.
Yeah, I think she's a homemade topsy-turvy.
She looks like she's made of cloth.
She is. She needs a little stuffing, but that's expected.
Are a lot of topsy-turvies black and white?
The earlier ones.
Yes.
So yeah, I'd have to spend some time with them. That bisque one's probably got a mark on the back. I could tell you who the manufacturer was and give you an age on that.
And the other one's
But
made
this-
out of,
It looks like wood, almost. This one?
she looks like it has carved hair.
Yeah, she does have carved hair. I need to spend some time to see. She looks similar to the wooden doll down there, but I'm not sure if that's wood. So we're going to move on here. 1940s hard plastic dolls, 1940s, 1950s, all kinds of hard plastic dolls start coming out. We have the Vogue dolls. Ginny Adler Graves was the woman who started the Vogue dolls. She was from Somerville, Mass. And she started out by making doll dresses for little dolls, and she was selling those. And then she found out that the person she was selling them to was selling to someone else for more money. So she put a stop to that, started her own company, licensed company, and came out with the Vogue dolls. Now this is one of her earlier Vogue dolls. She's got a painted face, mohair wig, and her name's Toodles.
Of course it is.
And yeah. She's a bridesmaid to a bride, Toodles.
Why the name Vogue?
I don't know why she picked Vogue. But maybe because of Vogue magazine, or they may have models.
She made the Ginny dolls. They're called Ginny Vogue dolls.
Yeah, probably.
What year is this?
Well, the brand name is
What
Vogue.
year was that? 1940?
Let's see, 1951 I have here. Yeah.
I played with Ginny dolls.
So she, she started her company, and this is one of her earlier dolls, the Toodles. And then she came up with the Ginny doll.
The Ginny doll.
The Ginny doll is the one that everyone remembers, the Ginny doll. Everybody. And her clothes and her dolls were, of course, immaculate and extravagant. This is her fur coat and hat, and here's her muff that goes along with it, which I've got to tie onto her hand
1892.
because I'm always
Vogue
dropping it.
magazine.
Started?
In 1892.
So that's a little Ginny doll.
Yeah.
Ginny dolls were very popular. People still have their
I had furniture.
Ginny dolls from when they were small.
Beds and a wardrobe and
For my friends.
Still, what's her name?
And here's a little magazine here you can even take a look at afterwards. Vogue doll, so it's got all the different dolls.
Yeah,
We would just study them.
And there were hundreds of them, yeah.
yeah.
What's her name?
And so when we even get these in to be restrung. And I have 3 in a day. I usually will say to people, you take the clothes off and keep them home. If you don't want them clean, do that. Because it takes a half an hour to get the outfit out. And then restring it, and then get the outfit back on again. And I'm like, that's why we had these, to keep us busy.
Yeah.
Kept us busy for a long time. But they're very well-made dolls.
Do you deal in the clothes at all? The vintage clothes?
I buy vintage and antique clothing.
You do?
Yeah, I don't make anything. A lot of people ask me if I make the dresses. I don't. I buy vintage and antique, and I have them hanging. Many of them, yeah,
Good.
absolutely. That's another thing I look for when I go to Brimfield, are the clothes. So another hard plastic set that we have here today is The Little Women by Madame Alexander. Now, Madame Alexander, her name was actually Beatrice Alexander, and she grew up in New York City, in the Bronx, and with her mother, her sister, and her stepfather. Her stepfather had what is known as the first doll hospital in New York. So she kind of grew up in that world. And her and her sister used to make doll dresses, and they used to make them for the hospitals, and bring them to the hospitals. And then she started her own doll company and called it Madame Alexander, because she wanted to be referred to as Madame Alexander.
Was she after the Ginny doll?
Right around the same time. Yeah, right around the same time. I thought I had something here on her, but I don't. I have a write-up somewhere I can show you. But this, again, is the Little Women collection that she made, which is also a fairly collectible. This age is fairly collectible. She also made them in this size here. These are the little plastic ones. Around the World Series they had. And again, the dresses, the petticoats, the slips, the socks, the everything. So we'll get in the hospital sometimes a set of 5 of these, 5 in the boxes to be restrung. And it always happens, you take it off and the elastic and the skirts are all gone, and you have to, put elastic in those little skirts. So again, I'll tell people if you want to keep the clothes at home. But the tough part is you have to remember what outfit goes on what doll when after you restring it. So we have to take pictures and make sure you have the right outfit with the right doll. This is an older one, a vintage bride doll. Madame Alexander. Bride dolls were very popular. Isn't she pretty?
Do they all have the same face? Almost?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the eyes.
Yeah.
Are they the tin or are they the glass eyes?
These are plastic.
Oh, they're plastic.
These are plastic. This time you've gone, yeah. to plastic eyes, and the hair is synthetic as well, so the hair is plastic as well.
Madam Alexander is supposed to be a little older.
For older people?
No, just the shape of her and.
Yeah, well, she's made baby dolls and
Yes.
older dolls too, of all kinds.
So all sizes, some of them are big.
Are most of the dolls blue-eyed?
No, I don't find that at all. All different colors. I think I have a lot of browns up here. Another plastic doll. Well, here's one that is just a no name, again. Plastic doll that they probably made a couple thousand of one year and sold at Christmas time. But still, a beautiful doll, a beautiful face. Pretty.
Used to get a doll every
Cute outfit. Yeah, you don't see that very often, depends on the dolls.
I got outfits.
I still ask for a pony, but it was. Oh, yeah, my grandmother made matching one for me and the.
So a doll that a lot of people ask me about too. Ideal, the Ideal doll. This is an Ideal doll. Some are known as P91s, P92s, depending on their size. And the Ideal, it was game company. They contracted with the Tony Perm company and came up with the Tony Ideal doll. And you would get the doll and you would get curlers. And you'd get the papers that go with the curlers, the perm curlers, and you'd get the perm solution in the kit.
What was the year for that?
She is March. Yep, 1949,
So that was real, that was
1953.
real hair then? on
No,
this
it's
doll?
synthetic still.
It's synthetic?
You can curl it. So she's one of them. And you would come with the curlers.
Oh my goodness.
Now in this box is the metal perm rods that they would send with them. These are really collectible in the doll world.
Oh, can you imagine? Because to find a full set of that,
Yeah.
right?
Yep, people just love to do. Well, a lot of the doll people who fix dolls, they still curl the hair with these metal pieces. I don't. I use straws and bobby pins. It's just so much easier.
Yeah.
And it does the same trick.
Definitely remember those.
You gotta know the gentle curls on the grandmothers.
Do you have the pinkies?
It's still the American doll.
And these would come with the paper too. The papers that you put in between the perm rods. There's your curlers.
Doll size, and one side would work.
And the stories that went with it. They all had
So of
their
course, everybody this time had dolls, right? Everyone had dolls. They were
different periods.
the biggest
some
thing.
different-
And these dolls came with everything.
My stuffed animal.
There wasn't much they didn't come with.
But the store went out of business.
Oh my God.
Garters?
Now, someone had asked me if the kids even know what Shirley Temple is. They don't know what this is nowadays. Thank God it's right, yeah. But those were actually made for the dolls.
Pantyhose were
Isn't that funny?
The last time I saw
Yeah. Yeah, they're not busy all day.
Be so dexterous.
Out of trouble.
That little tiny stuff.
And here we have our nylons with that seam right down the back.
She had seen.
Make sure you roll from the bottom, otherwise.
She would be crooked.
And I can still buy these. Because when we restore these, you know,
In the 40s.
So that's what you have to do.
I have to buy them a lot of the time. Because when they come in, they're all torn and
Garters.
without.
so, yeah.
Even all down. But if you stretched it, would
So that's our tiny tears. We have the Madam Alexander, which I showed you. They're only a plastic Madam Alexander.
I'm glad.
They're really sexy.
And then came along the vinyl dolls. Vinyl dolls came after the hard plastic. And the vinyl dolls, I mean, you can take those in the tub, you can do almost anything with them, whereas the composition, you couldn't get wet and they'd be ruined. The hard plastic you can, but you still have to be a little careful. But the vinyl dolls were made for that. One of the more famous vinyl dolls here is Tiny Tears. Tiny Tears would have her bottle, and you'd feed her bottle, and she would cry. She's got holes on either side.
She didn't pee.
No, that was Betsy Wetsy. Is she cute? Now the wig that this Tiny Tears has on is made out of wool, and I can't get this type of wig to replace these dolls anymore. They just don't make anything like it. I can get mohair wigs, I can get human hair wigs, and I can get synthetic wigs. But this type you just can't get, which is too bad. They'll send you like a clown wig made out of plastic. It just doesn't work. So these are rather collectible. One of the Tiny Tears had a molded vinyl head, like Ricky has over here. We'll show you that. So Tiny Tears is very popular.
Molded.
Yeah.
Did you see?
And then again, Miss Shirley Temple in the chair. So Shirley Temple was done in composition, disc, vinyl, everything, still being done. And this is an early vinyl one. There's a couple on the table there, still done by Ideal. These early ones were. Still made? These were made by Ideal, but they're still made by other companies now. They're copied. Danbury Mint, maybe something like that.
Danbury Mint.
Yeah, Danbury Mint. Okay, I'm gonna reach out. Our space is limited, so I'm being careful. So this is another hard plastic doll. Braids, always came with braids. And if you move her legs,
A saucy walker.
exactly. Saucy walker.
What was she called? What was
Saucy walker.
Saucy walker. This is a saucy walker, yep. And there were 2 or 3 different saucy walkers. I've got a couple more at the house. Yeah.
So that's what we.
Did you have one, Jan? Or did you have girls? Yes.
Yeah, a lot of people didn't like her eyes,
They bought them in 1990.
but I love her, yeah. She had like 2 sisters, and those are in storage. I wish I could carry everything with me, but that's why I want a museum, so I can get them all out. So, you know, we had dolls that talked, dolls that walked, dolls that cried. They did it all. And here's another vinyl doll I will show you.
She should apply for a job.
I don't know how many of you saw him. This is little Ricky, Ricardo. Now they made 2 Ricky dolls, and the first one they made, she was still pregnant. So you couldn't tell if it was a girl or a boy. And then after she had the baby, they came out with this one. And as you can see, she promoted, marketed the doll, and on the back, even her husband's on there. So he marketed it as well. Oh my goodness. They all kind of got in on it. Well, they were getting a piece of the pie, of course. Desi, that's right.
Desi Arnaz.
So he's still got the same outfit as in the picture. Yeah.
I think we're ready.
So I can only imagine how many of these they sold.
When I was a kid, I would wear that.
And this is just a really sweet metal melody on a baby doll for some, with a pretty dress on. You can come up and get a look at her after. So I'm gonna go grab a tote out back, okay? For the next. You still with me?
Yep.
Yeah.
Grab a tote.
Oh my God.
Like a patty plate.
Was it a different doll? She had to run something new. I had a Wendy doll. A lot of it does things that come in. It's like me
So I'm going to show you some novelty dolls. Here's a novelty doll.
I remember that.
Remember the muff?
One of those.
You'd have a jacket to match it.
What was it called?
This is a muff. For your
No,
hands.
the doll.
Oh, there was no name.
Oh,
Yeah, it's just, these are novelty type things, yeah. Yeah,
I had one with like a soft.
That's rabbit fur, isn't it?
yeah, yeah.
It was like a sleeping doll.
Yeah, if you were lucky, you'd get the coat too. You wear it on Easter.
I had for a coat.
This is another little novelty doll, it's a baby doll.
Nobody was politically correct. She was getting that.
Little baby doll.
Gumball machine.
But then, she's not in a happy mood.
Does she cry?
She doesn't cry. You can turn her head. And then she's happy.
What's the name of that movie?
That's great.
That's the name of that
It's strange on the bottom top.
The Exorcist.
So now we can turn it again.
Oh my God, that's great. Look at that.
And this one's not very old, but these were made years and years ago, and they're very collectible if you find one of the original ones. Yeah. But isn't that something? So you really want to keep the bottom on her.
Yeah.
Scary for everything else.
Okay. Let's see if I can get this one. So this is another novelty type doll. Her hat fell off. And she's hand painted, she's bisque, hand painted on her face. And you can see she's got a mohair wig. Quite a bit of hand painting on that bisque face.
Goodness.
Oh, wow.
Eye makeup too.
Yeah.
What makes her a novelty doll?
The cheek thing sort of.
Yeah. She's a pin cushion. There's pins all in here.
Oh.
See the bottom? She's a pin cushion. And a lot of people collect just these dolls. Just the pin cushion dolls.
I mean, that seems like it could be like one of 10 in the world.
Yeah, and I had
Weird.
a friend in Hopkinton, and she collected them, and then she said, "Can you take a few for me? I just can't hold them anymore." So I've got, several more. But that's a novelty thing too. Right beside your sewing machine. When people used to sew all the time. This is another little
Sewing machine set up.
just a stuffed cloth doll. And she's happy. And then just so it's another topsy-turvy. And I think the box said, "Turn that frown upside down."
Yeah.
And that's, so topsy-turvy dolls have been around for a long time. Long time, yeah. And then there'd always be a storybook doll for every story. There's another Little Red Riding Hood. It was very popular. Plastic face, easy to make. You'd get them at carnivals.
Yeah.
And then again,
Grandmother.
Oh, that one looks wicked.
some little girl put the glasses in. Some child must have along the way. But this is the grandmother.
Yeah.
The evil stepmother. That's the grandmother. There wasn't an evil stepmother, I don't think, in my writing. Snow White. Snow White, maybe.
Yeah, I think that's right.
And then when she got there,
Use that to tell the story.
Those Germans did that.
I think this was made here. So you have all three sides, and again, the glasses weren't original to the doll. Some little one along the way decided she needed glasses. So that's another novelty type doll. So that, I'm gonna get another, so I'll be right back. I'm just gonna show you some baby dolls
As you were
now.
reading the story aloud, you could have the doll as a prop.
That's a nightmare.
Oh, really?
I've got some work for her.
I'll show you a couple of baby dolls, because I really don't have a lot more.
Yeah, she used to be just a
So
third.
this is a bisque baby
Great
doll.
then. I mean, she was great then, you could.
And what it is a bilo. This is called a bilo doll. Bilo is the name of the doll. Bisque, glass eyes that sleep. And they're very well known for their body type. It's called a frog. Frog body. And the woman who designed this, she was hired by a doll company to make a doll that looks more like any other baby doll than they've ever had before. So she went around to different hospitals, and on the third day she was in a Red Cross hospital and found a 3-day-old baby and designed this doll after that baby. So the manufacturers liked it, and they sent it over to Europe, had it manufactured. In the first year they sold it, they sold over $1 million worth of them.
Wow.
So it became known as the $1 Million Baby.
Oh, wow.
So that was an early doll, baby. Sorry, I just didn't have room out there to put things.
Beautiful necklace.
So good.
That's our second baby doll. This is more from the 1950s. Does anyone remember this doll? Recognize it? This is Thumbelina. Thumbelina.
She's in a case.
See if I did that.
She
you would
moves.
know.
She blind her.
So Thumbelina was really popular in the 1950s. She's got the button on the back. I just had a call today, as a matter of fact, from a customer who wants to bring me a Thumbelina. She needs a new body on it. And she cut the hair on it. Turn the button
Yeah. She moves.
and watch her head. Yeah. So it would be like holding a real baby.
I didn't
So that's one from the 1950s, yeah. And they're pretty collectible.
Remember that?
So I showed you the Bilo doll. And the Bilo doll was supposed to look more like a baby than any other baby ever had. And that was way back then. So now we've come a long way. This is one of our more modern day dolls.
Wow.
And this is the one that really kind of freaks everybody out.
Yeah. That looks like fun. Look at that. Oh my goodness. My neighbor's grandson looks like that.
And that's all painted.
Like somebody.
Yeah, that hair is all painted on.
And when
Yeah,
is this
everybody
from?
usually holds it.
What age, like what decade?
Probably
is it?
70s, 80s this was done, yeah.
No, it's too real.
I used to have it, I was a director at an adult day health facility at one point, and we had this doll there.
I can see that. That would be helpful.
Yeah, but I took it with me when I left because we had many others.
We'll be there.
Wow.
See how real she, anyone want to hold her? Anybody?
It's not gonna start.
So that is my story for the dolls. Oh, which one is it? What you can do first is the auction. Oh, wait a minute. People brought dolls. We want to share dolls. So who wants to go
Can I
first?
show you a picture of a doll that I saw at a museum that was part of a medical university in Poland. And what they did was they had these dolls that the medical student, you could take apart and see the guts inside of them. They were only about this big. Okay, and the students would buy them.
Anatomy, it's an anatomy.
It's an anatomy doll.
Yeah.
And there's a piece you take off the belly, and you could see the different internal organs.
Well, Barbie had a baby doll.
So,
Yes.
In the stomach with the mark of the big little baby was inside.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
But this is like from like, I think the 1600s, you know.
Lucky her.
But they were
Barbie had everything we all should have had, right? And you notice I don't have any Barbies in my collection.
I saw that.
I have one at home that someone donated to one of the bubbleheads, but Barbie's just never been my cup of tea, so.
Yes, I brought
So do you have a doll to share?
Boopsie doll. Do you remember?
I remember the name, yeah, I don't have one.
Boopsie doll. A boopsie doll.
I think my mother used to call me
all
Boopsie.
had to have a boopsie doll.
So you want to stand up and tell us?
With some clothes. It's an antique doll. So, but I made it.
Let me see.
Oh, nice.
60 years ago.
Yeah, can you stand up and show it to everyone?
Yeah.
Or I can hold it for you if you want to just
When,
tell.
you know,
Nice.
decorations in your home or country or colonial.
Look at her
And
lace.
so it was, I don't know, I think
Did you
it was
paint that
like
on?
Elmer's glue or something on fabric and the same with the
Sounds like a Mod Podge.
Did you make it, Linda?
much.
She did.
It looks like Anna Green Gables.
Yeah.
It does. What kind of doll is
Sorry,
she
I'm in your
called?
space.
No, I don't think she was calling this that type.
I'm not like
Mod
some
Podge?
people.
No, I would say Mod Podge. What kind of doll is this, did you say?
I don't remember.
Okay. Do you have one to share? Okay.
Does she need a doll hospital?
She's got to if you keep doing that.
This is a tiny little,
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, it's a bisque.
yeah, it's a biscuit, but it's
Cute.
not,
She's
it's
got
not
her-
old. I've had
Yeah.
her for about 20 years. And I got her at the Toy and Miniature Museum in Kansas City.
Oh, very sweet.
Flowers are this way.
Yes. Wow.
Wow.
Ever I go back.
That's kind of cute though, 'cause it's small.
Yeah. You could do a collection of those.
It's got
Wow.
She's from Kansas and she goes to the museum.
Missouri. Oh, it is Missouri.
Oh, tiny.
My husband's from Missouri, so.
That's like the river.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing. Anyone else? Okay, right
I have a
here.
handmade doll too. My friend Jan, who's right here in the red, made this doll for me. She makes lots of dolls like this.
I got better at it.
Whatever kind of hair you want or whatever outfit, she made a doll for my granddaughter for
Oh,
Christmas
nice.
last year. That's in a little colonial outfit. Who my granddaughter calls Princess I Love You. And I call this one Dimple Dolly because Jan and I went to the same college, and the dimple was like a quad where girls hung, students hung out. So this is Dimple Dolly, and she sits on a bench in my entryway. With Watson, her brother. Watson is named for the art and the music building where I did a lot of practicing.
Okay, Jan?
Yeah, this one's a Madame Alexander. What I'm curious about is it's got like a little speaker on its back.
Oh, that round?
Yeah, but it doesn't do
Yeah, it's
any
probably
oldies.
just
It's,
not working anymore.
I mean, he needs to go to the hospital.
I might have to unbutton them.
Yeah. See how big it is.
Go to speech therapy.
It's, yeah. It's about this, maybe a dime
Mine
size.
has that, and if you squeeze
It's
it,
a
I can't.
higher.
Yeah, I see it right here. I don't think they sell them this small. I don't hear anything. I should have squeaked, but.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And she has a box.
And I don't ever see them that tiny anymore.
No.
They sell the ones about this size.
And also, it's got a mouth like a Betsy Wetsy.
Yeah?
But there's no exit.
No exit, no holes in the eyes.
No.
So
But
you
I
would.
think it's fairly old, but not
Yep,
that old.
1950s.
She has good hair.
I know.
So is that,
No bedhead.
I had a Chatty Cathy doll,
Uh-huh.
and
Yeah.
now she sounds like she's
Yeah.
gravelly voice. Can they fix that?
Sometimes I can find the part, sometimes I can't. I've got a Chatty Cathy.
But it had a string on it and you pulled it.
Yeah.
I think she had a
Mine's
couple
got it,
phrases,
too.
I don't remember.
Yep, yep, yep.
But now she sounds like. "Roar."
Exactly, that's what happens. They're hard to
Mad.
fix. I tried to learn to fix them and I just said, okay, this is not happening. It wasn't working for me. A lot of people don't fix them. But if you can find a replacement, so you can let me know if you want me to search for you and we can see if we can find one. What you do is you'd find one with another doll that's all broken, but that
And then
works.
that one you can take out,
Yep.
so.
Okay.
She was a baby, she was my first baby doll. And she's a Constance somebody. Do you know
Is it
that?
marked on the back?
It is. The name of the woman, I looked it up.
Okay.
She was from New York. And
not
she
familiar with
does have, if you squeeze her, she does that. And you could feed her and she would wet.
Yeah, she was cute.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
And she's got the eyes.
But if you just Google that name on the back, you'll get the info.
I did,
Oh,
yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Okay. So did it say what year?
51.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, who's next?
I have Ginger and Baby Ginger. I guess the financial competitor to Ginny. She didn't make the.
I take it around for you so they can see.
I just grabbed the whole thing. It's easier than trying to take it apart. I was going to change her dress, but didn't get that far.
No, this was not the kid. No.
Well, it says Vogue dolls right here.
Oh, Vogue.
So I think they may have been Vogue.
A spin-off of that.
Yep.
She's got roller skates in
Well,
there.
they both look pretty fancy. Might be different types.
Roller skates and everything.
Oh, I've got it.
Before there was a marriage.
Like Masha said, a desk
Ginger was the name
and a
of the
little
doll.
play table. Baby Ginger in there, but it's just easier to pick up the little trunk.
I take it Mary Ann's not here tonight. I'm thinking of Gilligan's Island.
Cute, huh?
Nobody gets it. Nobody gets it.
That'll keep you busy for a while.
They need to come out and get some love.
Do you let anybody play?
Oh, Gilligan's Island.
Our last dolly back here.
This was my mother's doll. And it's a Native American doll. And when I was a child, it used to have a little bit of hair, and it was Native American hair. I'm guessing it was like a souvenir doll that you would buy if you were traveling. And so I would believe somebody gave it to her. I don't know. She finally told me after I had a childhood full of dolls that she never liked dolls. And this was her only doll. And so I've hung on to it all these years. It has these kind of metal grommet hinges for limbs. Wow. So it's just a very old, and the felt that used to tie this together has fallen apart. So it's just disintegrated. So that's what I.
Very sweet.
Yes.
And how old she is. So now we'll do our doll raffle. Sound good? Any more questions? Feel free afterwards to come up.
You're doing a good job with the baby there.
It's disturbing, they're real.
I belong to an association called the Doll Doctors Association. And it's nationwide and it's also in Europe. So it's very big.
Did you want to keep the stand?
I'll give them stands, yeah. I'm pretty good on stands right now.
And she made the girls a couple.
So our first doll goes to, am I picking one piece or two? Okay. Kate.
I really enjoy her eyeglasses.
Oh, good.
She looks like a writer or an intellectual.
Two boys.
So these dolls,
Me too.
many of these dolls were given to me. I think I told you all that because they were going to go in the trash.
Little girl.
But then people will call me about these dolls, which are not what I collect. They're too new. I don't collect anything past the 50s. And these are like 70s, 80s. And a lot of people will call me and they'll say, well, my aunt collected dolls for years and never took them out of the box. And what do I do with them? So I used to say, you know, there's nothing I can do. But then I started taking them and bringing them to my shows. And this is passing them on to people who might enjoy them, right?
Yeah. That's a nice idea.
So, Chris?
Is that Chris Allen?
Hello.
That is Chris
Chris
Allen.
Allen. All right. This pretty little girl.
Nice dress.
Yes.
Lovely.
And I won't take them unless they're, you know, in the boxes and clean and
This
pristine.
one's definitely a
Got a tag on her, yeah.
Oh. Wow. Pillow doll. Cool.
My glasses on, just so you know.
I know, I only have my distance glasses on, I better have to go. get
Kathy
my reader.
Scott?
Oh,
I really don't want it.
Okay. Yeah, something you could give to a little girl. Yeah. Trudy. Me, Trudy.
Your girls gotta fight over it now.
I know. Well, one is only 3 months, so it's okay.
wow, that's interesting.
And it's a pillow doll. Yeah,
Look at the hair
Yeah,
on
when
her.
she lie down to watch a little TV. Gabrielle?
Oh, right here. And I have a 3-year-old granddaughter.
Oh, perfect.
So this will be nice.
Yes.
That hair.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love the hair on that one.
My Charlotte never.
Wonderful. Thank you.
I took two of them, I took Potter downstairs when they were over.
Wow.
Wow.
Whoa. All dressed up.
Wow, is that fancy?
I was just thinking, she is going somewhere.
Wendy. Shall I take the baby off your hands?
I don't know.
Oh, you That's all, everywhere I go. It usually ends up with the employees for the whole afternoon. Okay.
That's a fancy.
What's she holding on to?
A teddy bear?
Is it, oh, a teddy.
Marsha?
Thank you.
Enjoy.
She's pretty.
Nice on the piano.
They're gonna come now on the bench.
This baby for
She's pretty.
Here.
Just for needle point.
Oh, she's gonna just.
Oh, Dot?
Yeah.
All right.
Jim will love to see that.
Backseat, good luck. And they're all, it's on a stand if you got it.
Do you want the stand back?
No, if you want to display it. If you don't want the stand, I'll take them, but if you're going to display it, definitely you're welcome to them.
Everything.
All right. All right. Thank you, everyone.
Yes, thank you so much.